grasp, one spot and work on a muscle group. You can keep grasping in a particular area, over and over again. Or I want to remind you that a lot of times the belly of the muscle or the insertion of the muscle or the origin of a muscle, you can just sit there and hold and grasp and lift until it starts to release if it's very tight. Grasping at the insertion or origin of a muscle can be very useful, especially find that with the triceps, with some of the hamstrings, with ITB band for sure, and biceps femoris on the posterior side of the body if the client's face down. On pectoralis, major and minor, grasping and holding. Those are all ways you can do too. So it doesn't have to be just a grasp and release, grasp, release. You can focus in on one area. So when the client is in the supine position, areas we work is on the quadriceps group. So you do hands side by side like this. Then again, just go with the drape line. All right. So as you're moving up the quadriceps group, the drape line is going to be about here. So what you can do is just see you move a little lateral with your grasp, okay, from here to here. So grasping on the quadriceps group. So it's a grasp, lift, roll towards you. So this is not really kneading, grasping and lifting the muscle, and then just moving it towards me. So that's grasping on the quadriceps. I will do a lot of grasping on the ITB band, and also get some vastus lateralis and some of biceps femoris on the posterior side. But if you're going to do in this position, I demoed when the client is prone how you can basically turn the leg out to get the ITB band and those muscles facing directly at you. But when I work, I do a lot of squatting. So a lot of times I'll be working like this, the side of the table. So my thumbs right now are underneath biceps femoris, and my fingertips are around vastus lateralis. And so I just grasp and roll towards me. See, I'm grasping and pulling the muscle towards me, but the way I'm pulling is I'm leaning my body weight back. So you grasp and then release, grasp and release. So in the supine position, you could squat if you want. I'll have everybody try it. Squatting isn't comfortable for everybody doing massage. I do a lot of squatting when I'm working around the table. It works for me, but you have to find what's going to work for you. And then on the inside of the leg, if you want to grasp at the insertion of like semimembranosus and tendinosus from the hamstrings group, so you can just kind of roll in and just grasp right on that area. Okay. There's not really much grasping you can do on the lower leg because you have it'd just be like, grasping and lifting the leg. So we really don't have much for this area. Then moving upward. So grasping on pectoralis major and minor. If you raise the arm, you get some of minor too. So I'm going to take here, and you can let your arm relax. You don't need to hold it up. So I'm going to take, and I'm just going to grasp like that. And pectoralis major, minor will be pretty sensitive on a lot of people when you grasp. So I'm just doing a grasp and hold. I'm leaning my body weight back, and then I'm going to release, and then grasp again. Yep. So this is grasping. This is not kneading technique. When we do stretching, we'll use grasping as part of a pain and stretch, where we grasp and roll back, and then we stretch out those tendons of pectoralis major and minor. It's super effective for helping to release the pec muscles. So here, next we had for the pectoralis major, minor, and then moving here, you can grasp on the bicep. So sometimes biceps on people will be very tight. What I'll do is I'll just grasp at the bicep and just lift and hold it away from the body like this. And you can grasp and hold, or you can move downward with your grasp. Now when I get to the tendons here at the elbow, I do the same thing for the knee face down. If you bend the client's leg, I usually demo this more with rotation because you have to add a rotation in for it to be effective. With TuiNa, we'll end up some of the techniques combining grasping, rotating. We'll combine, pressing and rotating. You'll find that there's a lot of techniques that we can combine together. So here, if I want to just grasp at the tendons here, getting mostly biceps. You get some brachioradials. You probably get some brachials. See, I'm going to grasp, and then hold that grasp, and then see, rotate his arm as I grasp, and that just helps to stretch the again the tendons out when you're doing the grasping. Or you could just grasp right here. Okay, so you have an option. You can grasp and rotate. So I grasp and then I release, grasp. You can do both ways, rotating. But again, I'll show that in rotating technique. So grasp, biceps. So, and next we have grasping in the forearm. So when we grasp on the forearm, there's two ways you can do. I'll show both of them. One way is you're just going to lay the arm down on the table like this. And so you're just going to grasp as much as you can at the forearm like this. And just move. So you really don't lift as much here, but there is a slight roll back towards you when you grasp. When the client was face down, remember we grasped between the flexors of the forearm, and your fingertips were in between the muscle and the radial bone and ulnar bone. Now same thing here, except on the anterior side. We're going to grasp and then release, grasp and release. So this is one way to do. You don't get as much of a roll with this one, because if you start or as much lift, if you start lifting, you just pull the arm off the table. So that's for the extensors of the forearm. Now what I like to do when I'm working using grasping technique is for especially brachioradialis and part brachialis, when these muscles sometimes feel like a rock on people. There's several techniques you can use. I mean, you don't have to just use this technique, but there's lots of different techniques you can use. To release is what I'll do is I'll take like this. See, I'm using the side of my thumb and fingertips. You do have to squat for this move, but I'll just hold here and see, I'll just grasp. See, and then when you grasp, see, I pull away here. So I'm not pulling this way, I'm grasping here, and then I'm pulling both directions actually. So then I go to the next spot, and the next spot.
I can
So
feel that right now.
that's grasping. So again, this is more of a grasp, closer to the joint. You're working closer to insertion, origin of muscles. So that's grasping on the forearm. So we had two options there.
I just have a question. Because we did that on the chair thing, right?
Which?
The grasping of the forearm?
No, we were doing kneading.
Oh, we did kneading?
Yeah.
That's what we didn't do. Thank you. So there is a difference.
Yeah.
And then what about, when you're in the chair too, because you said, what about contacting the origin? How about that bicep that has two tendons that comes
Yep.
up here? Could you contact that and then do that thing that we were doing? Or wait,
In the chair, that might be a little hard in
a
the
little
chair.
hard to do that?
Yeah.
Because for some reason, is there any way to get into that double tendon to work it? Or?
I mean, with the clients in the chair, you can try to pull the arm away like this,
Yeah.
and work in. It's not, you could try it. I would have to have a chair set up to,
Okay.
see how we would manage
But
that.
here we could.
Yeah, but in a chair, you might be able to, but here you definitely can grasp in the biceps. But when next time you're doing chair massage,
Give
try
it
it
a
out,
try.
see
Yeah,
how you can get in there. And then the last one, I'm just gonna have everybody do again. We've already done this. Do this under grasping and kneading. Combined. So this one is a little more grasp than knead. It's where fingertips are underneath, thumbs on top, and we're grasping. Mainly the traps. So you have to get your fingers under. See? This is a little more like grasping, kneading, but we'll go over it again. Remember, you can move from medial to lateral. It doesn't have to be in one spot. So you grasp and you pull towards yourself.
Are you kind of grabbing the muscle?
Oh yeah. Yep. So the thumb is connecting, like if you made an imaginary line through the muscle. Here's this trap, and I'm squeezing it, grasping and pulling. So your thumb has to line up with your index middle finger like this. When you underneath. You can't have your fingers straight out like that, because what you're going to end up doing is running the scapula, and you won't get much muscle. So you have to turn in a little bit like this when you're grasping. So that's grasping, the neck and shoulders. So it's pretty straightforward stuff here, I think, with the grasping technique. But that's a little more grasping with kneading combined. So let's make a